When it comes to minimalism, we often talk about all the things that we stopped buying or the things that we decluttered, so the things that we don't need anymore. But I think another important part of minimalism gets talked about a lot less. And that is the things that we minimalists decide to keep and why. So using what you already have and valuing the things that have been in your life for a long time. So for today's video, I thought it'd be fun to share 10 things I've had for 10 years or more. And these are the things that have survived countless decluttering rounds and that I continue to keep around and that bring me value year after year. Actually, I did have to cheat a little bit for this video because I had more than 10 things, so I bunched some of them together into categories. So here are the things that I have had and used and loved for 10 years or more, and that I don't see myself decluttering anytime soon, if ever. Before we begin the video, I quickly want to thank today's sponsor, which is Wild, and I'm very happy to be working with them again because I have used their natural deodorants for a while now, and they're my absolute favorites for a few reasons. First, they are super eco-friendly, zero waste, and not tested on animals. They also apply really soft and smooth. I have sensitive skin, but these always just feel soft and soothing and moisturizing. They also actually work. I apply it in the morning and it keeps me smelling fresh all day, even in the summer or if I'm just being like super active, running errands. And lastly, because they all smell amazing. I have been obsessed with their rose petal scent. Recently, it is a limited edition. I heard it's selling out fast. It just smells so fresh and elegant. They also send me sage and eucalyptus, purple rain, and linen and lilac. Seriously, they all smell amazing, and many of you have let me know that you love yours too. How it works is you buy one reusable case and then you can just keep using this. You can get these little compostable refills and you can click them into your case and you're good to go. So you can just twist the part on the bottom to make it go up and down. Really great system, no hassle and no plastic. Their ingredients are all easy to recognize, like coconut oil and shea butter, and they don't contain aluminum or parabens. I really recommend giving these a try. They are very good, and if you use my link in the description box and my discount code VERALOVE20, then you can get 20% off on all Wild products. So big thanks to Wild. Let's begin with the video. The first item that I have had for more than 10 years is our bonsai tree, which is in that window right over there. I remember always wanting a bonsai tree, and I got this straight after we first moved out of our parents' homes around 11 years ago now. And I think it is so special to have a plant that you've had for such a long time. I do my best to take good care of it because I would be kind of sad, I guess, if it died. At first, I was really into bonsai trimming and stuff, and I tried to, didn't really know what I was doing, but I tried to trim it. Now I've kind of given up because it's always on the windowsill, so it kind of grows towards the light and towards the window. So the shape of the bonsai tree is not going to win me any prizes, I don't think, but it doesn't really bother me. Some seasons it's really thriving and it's doing super well and it's all like beautiful and mossy. Other seasons it's kind of, going through something. But yeah, I do try to take good care of it. It just needs a lot of water. I do have some more plants that are kind of coming up on 10 years. I'm thinking like 9. That one behind me is one. I also have one in the office that I've had for a really long time as well. We also still have the same watering can that I bought around 11 years ago. I remember that actually, and like it's not super cute, it's not very aesthetic, and I could choose to replace it for like a really beautiful watering can so that I have like, the aesthetic of like the plant girl. But this is one of those things I choose not to do because it is definitely a good watering can. It's not very pretty, but it is very sturdy and decent. It's from a decent brand. So I'm thinking that I probably will never replace it, I don't think. I just think it's a waste to replace something that's really good and still works just because you want something cuter when it's something as like small as a watering can. Number 2 is our TV and the soundbar. I am a minimalist and I know that many minimalists have chosen to declutter their TV, but I have always kept ours around You may know about me, like I like to play video games and my boyfriend likes it too. We often play video games together, so we actually use this TV for gaming a lot. And something else that I really enjoy is having like a friend over and watching a show or a movie like all together. And I actually think that TVs can be kind of cozy in a way because of that. I don't really like watching things on my laptop screen, for example. I like, you know, gathering around a TV, if that makes sense. It is not a fancy TV. It's not smart. It's not HDR. I don't really know what that means, but it is not like, it's old and therefore it's like not fancy. But the thing with TVs is I really don't care about that. I use it for the function. I don't want something like super fancy or like the latest and the greatest. Things like that personally don't really interest me that much. And also another reason why I don't want to replace this TV is that this is considered a small TV now, and that it kind of blows my mind because I actually think it's still quite big, and when we got it, it was like a big TV. But now recently we were looking just like what's out there, and this is considered a small TV, and some shops don't even like sell TVs of this size anymore. It's all like way bigger, and I cannot wrap my head around it. Like, why would someone want like a movie theater size screen in their living room? So I hope that this TV will keep lasting us for many more years, and I probably don't think I will replace it unless it actually breaks. And the silly thing with technology that I really dislike is if one part of it breaks, then you have to buy a new one because they don't make that part anymore or you can't replace it. So with our soundbar, actually our remote broke a little while ago, and you cannot use the soundbar without the remote. So you can only like turn it on and off, but you can't adjust the volume or any of that stuff. So the whole soundbar became unusable just because the remote broke. But luckily my boyfriend was able to find like a universal remote that still works on this soundbar, even though it's a really old model and they don't sell those anymore. So luckily we only had to pay like 10 euros for a new remote, and now we can use the soundbar again. Next up is a little category. A lot of the things in our kitchen are 10 years old or more. So for example, we still have all of our cooking pans that we bought when we first moved into our own apartment around 11 years ago. We bought those things from like a decent brand, but more like nothing fancy, like entry-level stuff. And we have 4 different kinds of cooking pans of different sizes, and yeah, they still work fine. I don't see any reason why I would want new ones or replace these. I honestly see myself using them for, I don't know, as long as I live, or as long as, you know, they stop working. We also still have exactly the same cutlery that we bought back then. We have most of the utensils that we bought we're still using now. Also still using the same cutting boards. And even though I have replaced some of our like plates and servingware and things like that, because that stuff makes me happy, having like beautiful things to eat off or drink out of, we also still have some of the same like bowls and things like that that we bought around 11 years ago. Yeah, we still have them. I still like them, so I'm keeping them around. The next item that I have that is over 10 years old is my e-reader. This is a Kobo. It is very old, and for example, it doesn't have a backlight, and I don't think that you can still find e-readers or Kobos without a backlight now. Because it doesn't have a backlight, there's no blue light, so it doesn't strain my eyes. So I actually prefer that it doesn't have a backlight, but if I had to replace it now, I would probably see if I could find one where you can turn the backlight off. It is starting to show some issues, so I have to be honest here. It takes like a minute for the thing to start up, which is kind of a long time. I also can't really shut it off easily, so I have to kind of like twist the thing a couple times, and then it starts up again, and then I have to wait for it to start up so I can turn it off. Things like that are starting to happen, but it is still very doable. Like once it's working, it works. And I'm also kind of attached to it because I've read so many books on there. This is kind of like a balance when it comes to minimalism and frugality, to kind of like keep using things for as long as you can, but at the same time realizing that once it's starting to show like actual issues, it might be a good idea to replace it. I'm not there yet with this e-reader. I think it's still fine, but yeah, we'll see how long it'll keep working like this. Next up is some of our home accessories, and I've actually had this, I remember, for a couple of years in my old bedroom when I was still like living with my parents. So I guess that these things are around like 15 years old. There's my incense holder that I sometimes use. I especially like to burn a bit of incense after cleaning. I also have my lotus candle holder that has been around for the channel all this time as well, and I keep getting like comments from you saying like, oh, I have the same candle holder or that you just really like it. I also have an oil burner. I don't use it that often. I don't really like use essential oils that much anymore, but I do keep it around in case I want to make the place smell nice for, I don't know, like a special occasion. This bowl that we use for our keys is also 15 years old. So I used to use this in my bedroom, I think for jewelry, and yeah, now we use it for our keys. The thing with these like small pretty bowls is that you can keep using them and repurposing them for years because they come in handy for so many different things. So the things I have now are basically all things that I've kept around for a really long time, and because of that they're like home accessories, but they're also like more sentimental items to me now because they remind me of, you know, so many things and phases of my life. The next thing that I've had for, I don't know, maybe like 16 years, something like that, is my wake up light, and this is one of those things that I would definitely replace immediately if it broke. Let me know in the comments if wake up lights are a thing where you live, because I was talking about this on Patreon the other day and someone said like, is that a Dutch thing? And now I'm wondering if it is a Dutch thing. So let me know in the comments. What this thing does is like 20 minutes before the alarm goes off, it slowly lights up your room. So you're waking up as if it's like a sunrise. It's more gradual and natural. And it does the thing in reverse as well. When you're going to sleep, it kind of mimics sundown. I also use it as a nightlight when I'm reading and stuff. So I would definitely replace this. But the thing is that nowadays, these things are all smart. And if you know a bit about me, you know that I don't necessarily like smart stuff. And I am really like hesitant to get one of like the newer ones now because they work with an app, and then you have to download the app and connect it to the internet, and then it collects all your data. And I just want a lamp that has a button that I can press to go on and off like the one I have now, but that's like those things don't exist anymore, unfortunately. So I hope this lamp will last a long time to come. Next up, furniture category. I have 3 pieces of furniture that we've had for 10 years or more. The first is our reading chair in the office. That's in the office now that we have an office. And it is from IKEA. This is a true IKEA gem in my personal opinion. I think this is miles apart from the other chairs that they have. It's made of solid wood. The construction is really good. It's such high quality, and this chair still looks new even though we've had it all this time. It is so comfortable to sit in, and I'm very happy that we were able to find this chair when we did. The design is like classic mid-century modern, which is not something that I really have in my home other than this chair, but I really like the vibes of this. And if you get like the actual designer version, these things can get really expensive, but this has like good quality at a more like IKEA price point. So very happy with this chair, and I hope and I think that this will be one of those chairs that I will keep for like the rest of my life. Next one is our black cabinet that we have right there. It's now in the living room. It used to be in our bedroom, kind of tucked away. So I'm very happy to have it more like out in the open now because it is so beautiful. I get a lot of questions from you about like, is this an antique? And I wish it was, but it's not really. Like, we bought this new at a furniture store around 11 years ago, but it has like this distressed look. It did come in one piece, like we didn't have to assemble it or anything, and you know, the doors are kind of squeaky and stuff, so it has that like old furniture feel, but I don't think it's like an antique or something. And the last one is our storage cabinet, storage closet that we have in our little extra bedroom that we have now. Such a luxury to have a spare small bedroom that you can use for storing everything you want to keep out of sight, especially if you live in the Netherlands. I know people from America might be watching this and being like, what about your closet space? Dutch homes don't have closet space. We don't have built-in closets here. We have to make that ourselves. So this little room, we use it for drying our laundry and storing our vacuum and like the air conditioning unit when it's like summer and stuff. Everything that's like functional but not necessarily very pretty, we keep in that room. And that's why we did bring that closet. The other ones I replaced, I have fallen out of love with them years before we eventually moved in here. I knew that they wouldn't really work in this new space, they wouldn't make me happy, so I did replace them. But when it comes to that one, we just felt like it would be such a waste to replace that cabinet because it is still functional. It is old and kind of wobbly, but it does work. And I think it would be a waste to buy a new closet for a room where it already doesn't really matter what things look like. So that's why we decided to move that one with us still. Next category is our washing machine, hamper, and laundry rack. So with the washing machine, I also just think I kind of got a little lucky. I don't think that washing machines necessarily last more than 10 years. Like, they're not made to last anymore. So I'm really hoping that by making this video, I'm not jinxing anything. But I try to take good care of it. I clean it. Every once in a while, I will do a cycle with just hot water and vinegar to kind of flush out the system. So far, I haven't had any issues with it, so I'm very grateful. We also still have the same hamper that we bought around 11 years ago. And this is a small thing, but it is just so functional because, like, it's made of plastic. It's not very pretty to look at, but the design is perfect. It has these little holes at the top so that air can get in, so our laundry just never smells, which is great. It doesn't get like that musty laundry smell that you can get. And also, when it comes to these things, I just prefer function over aesthetics. For example, I saw these really cute cloth hampers in a store, and that makes me think, like, how can this work? Because if you throw in like wet towels and things, like, the hamper is gonna get wet and it's gonna get smelly. And when it comes to these things, I just prefer it to really be very functional. It has broken a couple of times. The lid kind of came on and off, but we were able to fix it every time that it breaks. So as long as this thing works for us, I'm going to keep it around, hopefully for many more years. And also, we still have our old drying rack that we bought 11 years ago. I did replace this recently, so I talked about that, like how I now have a huge drying rack that's like really sturdy, and it changed my whole laundry game. But I did decide to keep the old one too, even though it's not the one that I use every time. But sometimes if you're line drying stuff, especially in the winter, it can take like 2-3 days before stuff gets really like dry. And if you have a lot of laundry to do and you have like sheets and everything, it does come in handy sometimes to have an extra drying rack that I can use. And I figured, like, I already have this lying around anyway, so I might as well keep it for that. So that's why I didn't declutter it. It's one of those things, like, I wouldn't buy a second drying rack now because I think that would be a waste. But since I already have one, I also kind of think it would be a waste to get rid of it just so that I can say, like, I only have one and that's more minimalist, if I can still think of a really useful function for it. So that's kind of like my reasoning there. Category number 9 is sentimental things, and by nature, these are things that you keep throughout the years, so many of them are 10 years old or more. So these are the sentimental items that I have never decluttered. I think it's great to declutter sentimental stuff as long as you are respectful and kind towards yourself and your emotions, because if you like separate the wheat from the chaff, then that means that you can enjoy the really meaningful ones a lot more because they're like easily accessible and they're not crowded by a bunch of stuff that just is less meaningful. And I like to keep them around, like actually visible in my home instead of tucked away in a box somewhere. So for example, I have this little angel that I got years ago from my mom when she first got sick. I also have this little orange calcite stone that I got as a gift from my dad when I was still a rock collecting teenager. I also have some Studio Ghibli plushies from the first time that we went to Japan together, my boyfriend and I. That was 17 years ago. And from that same trip, I also still have my Eevee mug that I won in a crane game in an arcade. And also a little bracelet that I bought in a temple in Tokyo. I do also have a little memory box filled with things that are just not necessarily very suited to keep around your home. So, you know, things from elementary school. And we have our photo albums, some of which are more than 10 years old, and we keep them in our office, like right there, so we can just grab one and look through it every once in a while, and it's always so nice. Number 10, last category, is miscellaneous items. So for example, I have an old shopping bag, like a reusable shopping bag that's like so old. And this one, like it doesn't look good anymore. It has some tears, it has some holes, but it still feels very sturdy, so I feel confident that I can use it without my groceries dropping on the floor. And when it comes to reusable bags and canvas bags and things like that, they are like the more eco-friendly alternative to single plastic bags, but only if you use them again and again and again, because I've learned that these bags and canvas bags too are pretty like resource intensive to make. So if you keep buying new ones, it's actually not really doing any good. So that's why I like to use them again and again. I also have one canvas bag that I always use. I've had that for like maybe 8 years or so. When it comes to clothing, I have a lot of items that are coming up 10 years, I think, like 7, 8, 9 years, but I don't know if I have any that are actually 10 years old after my most recent declutter. But it is kind of hard because it's hard to remember like when exactly you bought something. I do still have a very old, like 15-year-old yoga pants still that I showed in my most recent home declutter video, and I did decide to keep for not as yoga pants because I have better ones now, but as like thermal wear basically underneath my pajama bottoms just in the winter if it gets really cold. This is an old apartment, and it, you know, the heating works obviously, but it's not like, it doesn't heat up very fast, and I don't want to use the heaters all day because that's very expensive. So I kept it, and when I'm really cold, I just put it on underneath my pajamas, and it keeps me warm, so that's great. Another one of those things that I decided not to declutter, even though I don't use it as yoga pants anymore because it's so old. But if I can actually think of a good function to keep using something and it really makes sense, then I don't see why I need to buy something new. So that's what I did. So these are all the things that I've had for 10 years or more as a minimalist, and I don't think that I will replace them ever unless they break, basically. And I'm also just really grateful for these items, that they've been around all this time. I think the more time you've had something and loved it and used it, the more meaningful it gets. And probably I'm still forgetting a few things, and I will think about them like right after I post this video. But let me know in the comments. I would love to know, what are some things that you've had for 10 years or more and that you don't think that you will ever declutter? So leave that in the comments. I would love to read it. A really big thank you to Wild for sponsoring today's video and for supporting the channel. Finding good sponsors to work with can be really tough, especially if you're as like critical and selective as I am. So I just really appreciate their support. And if you want to try their natural deodorants with 20% off, then I will leave all the details in the description box for you. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all again next week. Bye bye. Did you hear my stomach growl near the end of the video? It is lunchtime for sure.